Okay. Hello, guys. Miss Nahorniak here. Not a very good hair day, so there's the hat option, which is nice. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. I just wanted to give you a quick review of the types of sentences that we covered this year in language arts. This week 4, you guys are going to have an activity where you need to watch this video and this slideshow and then answer some questions on types of sentences, being able to identify those. So just want to do a quick review here. If you remember, we studied 4 types of sentences, okay, and they're obviously on the board here or on my desktop: simple, compound, complex, and compound complex. Okay, so we're going to go over those. Uh-oh, maybe I can't do that if I have my pen out. All right, well, let's put it full screen, so give me just 1 second. All right, there we go. Now can I get my pen back? Well, I got a laser. That's just as good, I guess. Okay, so if we start back at the most basic sentence, the simple sentence, what you're going to hopefully remember is that it's an independent clause, which we studied. Again, we reviewed that a couple weeks ago. But an independent clause being something that has a subject, a predicate, and it can stand on its own because it makes sense on its own. Okay, what I have beneath here are 3 simple sentences, and they have some variety to them. So I just wanted to show you kind of how simple sentences could look differently. All right, so we have our first sentence. The exhausted puppy sprawled out on the floor. All right, so if you're doing that at home, hopefully you'd be able to identify that the subject is puppy, what the puppy did, or the predicate is sprawled. Okay, and it's just one complete independent clause, subject, predicate, complete thought. Okay, so that one I think is pretty straightforward. When I get down to these next 2, they're slightly different than the first one, and here's how. I want to make sure you know that a simple sentence has one subject and it has one predicate, but you could have a compound subject or a compound predicate. So let me show you what I mean by that. So if I said Batman and Robin captured the nasty villain, okay, we have a compound subject, but we still have just one subject collectively doing one thing. So the subject would be Batman, Robin. Okay, they together are one subject, and they, captured. Okay, that's the predicate. So you can have, like I said, 2 subjects, but they're just doing one thing. And then on the third example, we have it, on the third example here, you can see that it's kind of the opposite. She laughed and cried during the movie. So she, right here, is the subject. So just one subject, but we do have her doing 2 things, okay? Compound predicate. She laughed, she cried. Okay, so those all 3 are simple sentences because they're all independent clauses. They have everything they need. They can stand on their own. They have a subject and a predicate. These do have, or this one has 2 subjects, and this has 2 predicates. Okay, so that's simple. Hopefully didn't confuse you there. Let's move on to compound. All right, compound sentence is basically taking what we just had, taking one independent clause and joining into another independent clause with a comma and a coordinating conjunction. It's been a while since we knew this, but fanboys, hopefully it's ingrained in your head. You remember that fanboys stands for and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. All right, so again, take a second to read that on your own, but a compound sentence, 2 independent clauses, and the way you join them, the way we're going to join them for this, comma, and one of those fanboys. Okay, so if you look at the first sentence. Teddy ordered a pizza, comma, but he didn't have any money. All right, so if you look at this, Teddy ordered a pizza. I think we all can agree that that is a sentence. That's an independent clause. And then if I jump over to he didn't have any money, that also is an independent clause. So we have 2 independent clauses, and what kind of glues them together is this comma and the word but, which is one of those coordinating conjunctions. Okay. Second sentence, Nana drove to the market, comma, and Papa went inside. All right, so we have, again, Nana drove to the market. That's a perfectly good sentence. That's a simple sentence. It's an independent clause. Over here, we have Papa went inside. We have a subject, we have a predicate, so we have an independent clause. So two independent clauses. This time they're joined by a comma and the fanboys and. Okay, so for some reason I find compound sentences the easiest ones. Don't know why, but hopefully they make some sense to you guys. Okay, third type of sentence, complex sentence. All right. In a complex sentence, and I know you can read this and I know you can go back through over this on your own. You can mute me so that you can just read through it. But a complex sentence is one independent clause. Okay, we've been talking all about that so far. And then at least one dependent clause. Okay, you could have two dependent clauses, you could have three dependent clauses, I mean, you could have a lot of clauses, dependent clauses. But for it to be a complex, it has to have one independent and at least one dependent. You'll also have something that stands out, hopefully, and if you go back to our awubis, okay, those are subordinating conjunctions. So that independent clause and dependent clause are joined together, this time using a subordinating conjunction. Okay, and awubis, if you can't remember all the letters, because it's a lot of them, here they are. And obviously there are more subordinating conjunctions, but these ones are pretty common. All right. Okay, my screen's in the way. I'm hoping you can see behind this sentence. Okay, so first sentence, Francis prepared a bowl of hot soup because he was cold. All right, so he prepared a bowl of soup because he was cold. All right, I always find it easiest to find the awubis first, so hopefully the word because jumped out at you. So if you look at the first part of the sentence, Francis prepared a bowl of hot soup. That could be a sentence all by itself. That's an independent clause. It's all by itself. It's just fine. Now, if we were just to look at because he was cold, hopefully you would say to yourself, because he was cold does not have enough information to be its own sentence. So it's a dependent clause. So in this case, because joins them together. All right, I'm going to move my face up to the top. Hopefully that helps. All right, last sentence for complex. Before we watch the movie, comma, we must bathe the dog. All right, so again, what I try to find is the awubis first. So hopefully the word before jumps out at you, and you'll notice that the awubis, I think as soon as I say this, you're going to remember it. At least that's what I hope. But if an awubis word starts a sentence, at the end of that clause, you're going to need a comma. So before we watch the movie, comma, that's why the comma is there, okay? Before we watch the movie, comma, we must bathe the dog. So if you look at it this way, before we watch the movie, that doesn't have everything we need, right? Your question is probably what? Before we watch the movie, what do we have to do? Okay, so that's dependent. And then if we just look at we must bathe the dog, that's independent. That's a good sentence all on its own. So we have independent clause. Sorry, I just messed you up. Before we watch the movie is dependent. We must bathe the dog, independent. Okay, so the independent can come first and then the dependent, or you could have the dependent come first and then the independent. All right, hopefully I didn't mess you up there. Okay, final type is the, let's get this going here, compound complex sentence. I guess my face is in the way again, so let's move down here. All right, so this is obviously by kind of definition, probably the most complex type of sentence. All right, and what we have when we have a compound complex, we have two independent clauses. Okay, so you have to have two independent clauses and at least one dependent. Now you could have more dependent clauses, but let's just kind of keep it simple here. So a compound complex, two independent clauses, and at least one dependent clause. All right, so the first sentence here, after the storm passed, comma, I went outside, comma, and I picked flowers. So hopefully what you're looking at thinking is, okay, where am I? Do I have any fanboys? Do I have any Awubis words? Where are my dependent clauses? Where are my independent clauses? So if I start here and I say, after the storm passed, comma, hopefully you notice after is an Awubis. Okay, after is an Awubis word. So after the storm passed, that's why we have comma. That can't stay on its own, so that's a dependent. I went outside. That's a perfectly good sentence. So that would be independent. And then this is being kind of stuck together with this comma and. So if I just look at I picked flowers is another perfectly fine sentence. So we start with a dependent clause, an independent clause, and another independent clause. So that satisfies the definition. All right, the final one, it's a little bit of a lengthy sentence, but it is a compound complex, and let's take a look at why. Although he has a crippling walnut allergy, Alberto bravely walked through the walnut grove, comma, but he made sure to wear long sleeves. So again, a lot there, but just break it down by what you see. Again, think about Awubis or fanboys where you're seeing commas. Okay, try to give yourself the best chance getting this right. All right, so although he has a crippling walnut allergy, comma, hopefully, go back here and you notice although, that's an Awubis word. Okay, so although he has a crippling walnut allergy, comma, at that point, you're kind of wanting more information because it's not a complete thought. So this first part is dependent. Okay, then we look at Alberto bravely walked through the walnut grove. If we just had that, Alberto bravely walked through the walnut grove, that is a sentence, subject, predicate, complete thought. So this second part, independent. And lastly, we have a comma but, so a comma fanboys, right? So we know that's joining these two clauses. So let's see what we think. He made sure to wear long sleeves. So again, he made sure to wear long sleeves. That's a sentence. That's an independent clause. And so therefore we have dependent, independent, independent. Okay, so really, I think if you have a good concept of these requirements for each type of sentence, you can go back to this. You can go back to this Google slide whenever you need to, and just remind yourself of what are those different aspects of each type of sentence. And if you just kind of go slowly and dissect the sentence, I think you'll do well with the sentences that I'm going to have you answer. Okay, all right. Thanks. Hopefully that wasn't too long. Take care. Bye. All right, bye.